because he actually reached out to me, Jeff. He reached out to me saying that he had seen some of my reviews. Actually, his dad actually has sent him the links to my videos. Jeff told me that he normally doesn't watch videos about himself, like reviews of himself or people talking about his channel, just for his mental health sake. And I can understand that. I would do the same thing. But he did watch a couple of my reviews, and then Jeff actually he reached out to me, thanking me for my reviews, thanking me for my feedback and everything, and he offered to talk about YouTube, any advice he has, stuff like this. So we had a nice little conversation. One thing he recommended was that I start incorporating some of my actual workouts in it, and I think that is probably is a good idea. So I'll probably start doing that pretty soon. But I completely lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man. That's very cool. I kind of have a parallel experience with Jeff from the 2019 Arnold Classic. I
Okay.
went up and just thanked him, and he's an inspiration and example for all of us to follow. And talked to me for like maybe 5 to 10 minutes about how's your
Yeah.
Instagram doing. I told him like I take a lot of like the Myth Bust Monday was his thing back then. I was like I kind of do my own version of that, and he was like really supportive of that and asking me what do you
Yeah.
do? Here's some little tips to improve that. So that's really cool,
Yep.
man. And I think
Yeah.
so, great. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, he is a really, really nice guy. He really is. He really cares about what he talks about and cares about other people. He's not somebody on YouTube that's just doing it for the views. It's pretty obvious, and he's really, passionate about all this stuff. Like Jeff doesn't have a formal education or background in fitness. I think his degree is in biology or something like that. But you can still tell that he's light years ahead than a lot of other people, even those with degrees in this, because he's actually taking the time to learn, and he learns from others, and he stays actually humble in it. Like the best strength and conditioning coaches are not the ones that they go through school, they get their experience, whatever, and then they're good. They're the ones who are continuing to learn from other strength coaches. Like if you talk to Buddy Morris, he's the head strength coach for the Arizona Cardinals. He's been in this profession for over 40 years. But one term, if you ever hear him speak, one term he hates is old school. He hates that term. So he always is learning from other people. You'll see him at NSCA conferences. When the lead FTS, they held a couple of seminars. He talked at those, but when he was in the audience, when like Joe Ken was talking or something like that, he was still writing down notes, still learning from people. So really, the best people in this profession are the ones who are willing to be open-minded, learn from others, have actual discussions. And it's starting to see, I think, an actual comeback in that. So there's honestly more and more channels that are now starting to get out of bullshit, if you don't mind cursing here.
No.
Starting to get out of that stuff now and actually put the science back into it, the mix between the science and the actual experience. Not really doing it for the views, doing it now for actually helping people, wanting them to learn. Like I don't like to bash any people. A lot of times, some people, what they get wrong with my reviews is they think that I'm criticizing people or the person who made that program. In reality, that's not the case at all. Like the person who made it is not a factor in my reviews at all. I couldn't care less. Even if it's Jeff Nippert, if it's Mike Ursatel and the rest of the people, that does not make a difference at all in my review. I review the program itself and whether I think it's good or not, whether it's logical or not. And so if there's a program like the one I did from Greg Doucette, the fact is it's $200. Who's going to spend $200 for that? I mean, really, come on, so and the programs themselves honestly had some issues, and I don't care who Greg Doucette is. I don't care how many followers he has. I have some issues with the way he has gotten his followers. And I think this little voice thing that he does in his videos is going to dry out soon, honestly. But the fact is nobody's going to pay. I know a lot of people are going to come on here probably saying, oh, I spent $200. I think it's worth it. That's fine. That's your money. You can spend it however you want. And if you think it's worth it, it's going to help you, cool. But that also doesn't change the fact that it's not worth $200. And it doesn't change the fact that the programs needed some work. Like he has some stuff in there about doing cheat reps and doing partials. Partials have their place, but anybody who saw my interview with Mike Israetel, one thing we got in discussion about was cheat reps, right? Cheat reps make, if you really think about it and listen to what Mike said about it, and I hadn't really thought about it all that much until he talked to me about it, is that cheat reps make no sense whatsoever. So any program now that I see that has cheat reps in there, even one that Jeff Nippard wrote in there, like I just did a review on his push-pull legs routine. He had cheat reps in there for bicep curls, hammer curls. I didn't agree with that, and I thought because of what Mike Israetel told me about, and it made sense. Why not just add in an extra set, or why not just do a drop set? That makes a lot more sense. So the industry, I think overall, I got into a little bit of tangent there, but the industry overall is, I think, moving into a better direction. The lot of those influences that we see, who've gotten their following from spewing out complete crap, or who have just shown off things, based their whole thing on their physique, is starting to taper off a lot more. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a good thing for the sake of criticizing or anything. I think it's because a lot of people are past it now, and they want all the actual good scientific information. They want the unbiased stuff. They want what actually is working, what's going to work for them. And I think it's a great thing to actually see now.
100%, man. Yeah, I can tell we're gonna have a good conversation around this stuff, because I feel like we're both kind of like programming and just optimizing exercise nerds. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of why I really liked enjoying your channel, liked viewing your channel, and enjoyed it for about a year now. But I want to do a quick little. It's I remember I'm trying to think which program I saw your review first. It might have been a John Meadows program or the push pull legs ebook from Jeff Nippard.
Okay. That's
And
that's such a long time ago now.
yeah. I recently looked at your page because I saw that original Mike Israetel interview, and
Mm-hmm.
then I saw the clip that you recently posted about the snippet of the cheat reps and stuff. And I think, how many followers or subscribers are you up to now? Was it about 6,000?
Not quite. It's like 5,600, so almost 5,600 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good subscribing. I mean, it's growing, but it's not where I want it to be yet, obviously. But and that's one thing that when I was talking to Jeff Nippard about, some of the things are going to change, like some of my reviews and stuff. I'm going to start getting away from those. I'm still going to always do reviews because it's always going to be part of the channel. It helps me to get to where I am now, and I don't want to take that away from you guys or anything. But I'm going to start branching out into some other things. In part because it just feels like the reviews are starting to get a little dry, or like they're starting to that topic is starting to kind of run its course a little bit. Every channel goes through this, and they do a special, a niche or whatever, and then it does just run its course. But also, honestly, it's starting to get harder and harder to justify spending the money for a program every week. Like some of those programs are $100, and it's starting to get a little hard to justify to do that just for a review on YouTube. If I'm being completely honest with you. So, like I said, I'll always do reviews, but they're not necessarily going to still be every week. So,
Yeah.
like this past clip I had with my Israetel was from the full interview, and I ended up posting that in part because I think it's a very important clip that a lot of people needed to see and may not have seen from the original one. The other reason, in part, is just because I couldn't think of another topic to do at the last minute. I was so busy with work that it was just like, oh shit, what am I going to post for this week? And I thought, oh, okay, I'm just going to take a clip of this. It's nice and easy. So, so a little bit of a change from the channel. Nothing drastic, but it's just some stuff just feels like it's starting to run its course a little bit. But we'll see what I get into.
That's the beauty of it, man. It's always you can try so many different things, and I think you have at least in me, right? I'll watch whatever you put out, man, because you really kind of showed I think like there's been improvements in quality of your videos, different angles, different lighting that I've noticed since I started watching you. Yeah, and just like continuous improvement kind of built that loyal base up. So I'm interested to see what you do with it, man.
Yeah, yeah, appreciate it. And it's always evolving. It's always going to be evolving. Like the quality, like if you compare to what I have now to when I had in like my very first video in my old channel, like I cringe at that, honestly, like the way it was, the way I presented myself, the way it looked and everything. But that's how everybody's YouTube channel is. If you looked at Jeff Nippard's first video, it's the same thing. It's night and day. If you looked at PewDiePie's first videos, like you go, oh my god, he was this way before, or Mr. Beast. It doesn't matter. Everybody starts somewhere and then they eventually grow. You're right though. It's the beautiful thing about YouTube. You can't really do anything wrong unless you say something really truly awful or stupid, or like something racist or whatever. You do something really stupid like that, then yeah, you're going to go down the flames. But you can experiment a bit on YouTube. You can try this type of video and see, oh, is that going to work or not? If it works, then you can kind of run with it. If it doesn't work, you can try something else. There's no really wrong thing. It's a very unique business, YouTube, where it's not one that if you try something, you can end up losing a lot of money. That's not really the case with YouTube. You can try whatever you want. And either way, it still in some way will help you to grow, and it's still going to make you money. As long as you're getting views, you're going to make money on this. So, like, I'm not trying to say that's the reason that I'm doing YouTube. It's not for the views or to make me money and stuff like that. But I'm just saying it's kind of a nice benefit to it, or like a side effect of having a channel and everything. So, and the fact that you can actually make it into an actual business.
Mhm.
Nobody saw this really like 10, 15 years ago
Yeah.
that you could do this sort of thing, but now you really can, and anybody can in fact do it. And that's one thing that I actually really like about it, because people who are really passionate in fitness, who know what they're talking about, can now share that. They can post their workouts, they can talk about whatever they want to talk about when it comes to fitness, and they can get an audience about it, and then other people can learn from that, and then you have a whole community, a whole better industry, an industry that's better off as a whole.
Very well put. Very well put. Real quick, I want to give a little official intro and let the people know a little bit more about you, Joe. So I'll hit that real quick, and then we can get into some questions.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, I'm Joe Schneider. I run the Lifting Explained YouTube channel. So I have a formal education in fitness. I have a master's degree in exercise science. I am certified by the NSCA as my certified strength and conditioning specialist. I have experience both as a strength and conditioning coach. So I have a little bit of experience at the collegiate level, starting when I was in grad school as a graduate assistant. I had a few internships, one at Ohio State, another one at Pitt. It was at both of those that I realized that being a strength and conditioning coach wasn't actually the right place. It wasn't the right setting. I prefer more one-on-one and private settings. But after that, that's where I ended up going into. So I ended up being mainly just a personal trainer after that. I've been doing that now for quite a while now, 5-6 years, something like that. So, and over that time, I had a ton of clients ranging from 14-year-old hockey players, one who was looking to go pro, all the way up to 65, 70-year-old retirees who were just looking to get rid of their beer gut. So, and everything in between. So, it gave me a lot of experience seeing, what works for some people, what doesn't. You can't take one program that's going to then work for everybody else. That's not how it works. And that's one thing I put into my reviews for a lot of these programs that I do, is that yes, they're pre-designed, they're kind of cookie cutter programs, but if anybody who watches my reviews, I give suggestions on how you can modify them to be best for you. And the easiest way to do that is through the exercise section, really. So, that's why I talk about in almost every review I have a section for exercise substitutions, and why every single program that I review needs to have that, and how to actually make that substitution, because it really is that important, because everybody is different. But anyway, that's going off tangent my background there a little bit. But anyway, yeah, formal background, exercise science degree, experience with being a strength and conditioning coach, and then into the private sector, and then currently am helping to run fitness centers at two YMCA branches, which takes up a lot more time than I thought I was going to. But yeah, it's a good experience. A lot of complaints from members. You see that a lot of stuff from behind the scenes. That's a lot of crap that you don't want to deal with, but that's running a fitness center. That's how it goes.
God bless. The fact that you put out these quality videos and you manage two centers, that's impressive. I did not know that about you, man. That's props.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little tough. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of nights where I don't feel like making a YouTube video. Like I come home and it's like, oh, shit, I don't want to make a YouTube video, you know. You just got to do it, you know, if you want the channel, because I do want to eventually have a channel that I can go full time with. So I got to do it, you know. And once I actually start doing it, I realized, yeah, okay, I enjoy this. I'm having fun. All right. Then of course I get to the editing part of it. It's like, oh shit, I got to do the editing now. But all right, I got to do that. But you know, once I get it up there, I'm glad that I did it. But I mean, that's the main reason why I only do one video a week. It's just the fact that that's what I have time for. If I had time to do more than that, I would. But I just don't right now. And you know, and honestly, I think another thing is that I'm never going to do a video like once a day. Even if I had the time, I never would do that, because one thing I just disagree with that is that people are not going to get the most value out of a video a day, because a lot of people are not going to be able to keep up with it. You know, yeah, maybe in long term it can help with my growth on my channel, but it's not something that everybody again can keep up with, and not everybody's going to see it. And you know, it's exhausting. How are you going to get content for it after you've already done a video a day for over a year? You're going to end up repeating stuff, and then that's not going to help anybody. You know, even if you have new viewers and new subscribers, all they have to do is look at your past ones, you know, and they'd be able to learn that. Or you can take some of the content you did before and you can kind of repeat it a little bit that way. But even still, I'd rather do one a week when I'm doing it right now, get the good actual quality out of it. And then that way, you know, think of it like a TV show. They only post that once a week, so why not do the same thing? But yeah, I mean, YouTube is, yeah, it's a huge learning curve. A lot of people, I don't think, realize how much actually goes into it. You know, they just see you post a video, but in reality, it's hours of work, even just for one video. So, you know, I have major props for people who've been doing this for a long time and are able to do it full time. And like, again, I want to get to that point eventually. But when I do get to that point, I'm honestly going to be kind of scared, because I'm in a nice, good, cushiony job right now that all of a sudden I'm going to intentionally quit from to then do this. You know, it's like, is this really going to be the right choice? But that's a long time away from now, so I'm not going to worry about it right now.
Definitely. Yeah, I want to give a quick little intro of myself in case we get any viewers from your channel that might not be familiar. And I feel like we have a lot of similarities, and that's why when I started watching you, I was an avid subscriber since. But for those of you coming from Joe's channel, I graduated from Ohio State in 2019. Did you say you did your grad program there?
I did an internship, strength conditioning department there. So Olympic sports.
What year was that?
That was 2015.
2015. Gotcha.
Yeah. So summer of 2015. Most of the coaching staff is different now. There's a few people still there, I think. At that time, it was Anthony Glass. He was the head of the strength conditioning department. Guy was like the toughest guy, one of the toughest guys I've ever met.
Is that the one that laid out the kid that rushed the field?
No, that was on the football staff.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so really unrelated. That guy right now, the head strength coach, Mickey Mirardi. I never met him, but I heard like he's really intense. Yeah. Coach Glass, he was also equally intense. Like I screwed up all over the place my internship, and He let you know it. Like my blood pressure was up to here like the whole summer when I was there. Like even if you're like a few minutes late, he let you know about it. If you set up something wrong, if you weren't fast enough, he let you know about it. And he would do it in front of the athletes too. It was like, oh shit. So and I had the same similar kind of experience when I was at Pitt after that too. So if you want to be a strength and conditioning coach, like make sure you want to be a strength and conditioning coach. Like if for some people who are watching that want to be one, like make sure it's a profession that you want to actually be in. This is why doing internships are so important. Like you can't actually get hired without the internships anyway, but make sure you want to do it and make sure you have a passion for coaching. Forget about weight room. Forget about your passion for lifting because that's not why you should be a strength and conditioning coach. You need to have a passion for coaching and for helping the athletes. Okay. Because if you're in there because you love lifting, the athletes are going to see that and they're going to see right through you. And your colleagues are going to see right through that as well. And then you're going to burn out in the industry. Right. It's long days, early hours. When I was at Pitt, I was waking up at 3:30 in the morning every day to get there at 5:30, or actually before 5:30, because I had to set up and get ready for the first team that was there. And then I was there until about 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. Went home, ate some dinner, went to bed, and then I repeated again. That's the life of a strength conditioning coach, So make sure it's something that you're actually going to be passionate about and you're going to actually love. And if you don't think you can do that, and if you don't think you have the personality to be a strength and conditioning coach, then it may not be the best profession for you. That's another reason why I'm not a strength and conditioning coach at the collegiate or level or whatever. It's because I'm a very introverted person. It may not seem that way on camera or whatever, but like if you met me in person, I'm very introverted. I'm not somebody who shouts across the room. I'm not somebody who wants to command an entire group of people all at once. So make sure you are that kind of person. Like if you met any single strength and conditioning coach, like prominent one, like Buddy Morris, Joe Ken, Donald Bucher at the Citadel, any of those guys, they're really intense and people. They're really nice people, but they're really intense people as well. And you can tell that they love being a strength and conditioning coach. They love to coach, right? So that is what separates a good strength coach from ones that are not so good. It's the fact that they love to coach. They know their stuff when it comes to actual lifting and everything. They know their science, all right, but they still love to actually coach. So if you want to make sure that's what you actually love doing.
That's a great piece of advice, man. After we got that Ohio State connection a little bit, even though our times slightly misaligned. After I graduated, I perhaps went to a competitor gym. Do you have any Robert Wood Johnson centers located up in your area?
Not really.
Yeah.
The main hospital is like in the New Brunswick area.
Yeah.
So I haven't really been down that way all that much.
Right. Yeah, I was a trainer at one of their fitness centers for about a year and a half and kind of got that commercial-ish gym experience. And then decided to move back to Ohio where I kind of got my own little personal training studio rocking now, as well as trying to do the YouTube thing as admittedly not as frequent as you, Joe. So that's something that's one of my goals, man. Really props to you for that. But
yeah, I mean, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but even if you only can get it in like every 2 weeks, as long as you can get in, that's fine. Your audience will find you. They will want to actually listen to you, and they'll understand your schedule and everything. So even if you miss a week or two here or there, it's not the biggest deal in the world. As long as you enjoy actually doing it.
yeah. Yeah, I always like to. That was good, man. You have good pieces of advice in all these different
I
spheres.
try, I don't know. I kind of make up a lot of stuff I say as I go along. I don't know. If it comes out as good advice, great. But
Hey,
a
fake
lot
it till
of
you make
it's
it,
just
baby.
kind of,
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Trainer Scoop podcast. I just wanted to let you know I offer a free week of online coaching to anyone that would like to take a strategic approach to training and nutrition. So within this free week of coaching, you'll get a consultation call, personalized calorie and macronutrient values, and of course, your own personalized training program. So if you or anyone you know would like to take advantage of this offer, feel free to just shoot me a DM on Instagram or Facebook, or just follow that link in the description of the podcast and it'll take you right to it. Thank you so much, and back to the show.
I always like to try to kind of get to know my guests well and have the audience be able to get to know you well as in addition. So I'm going to ask you just a series of random questions as they come to my mind. Does it sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. Shoot.
What is one of your hobbies outside of the gym?
Hobbies outside of the gym. I'm a humongous car guy. So any car show, like unfortunately, this past year, before that, like because of COVID and all lockdowns, there are hardly any shows. Like the New York Auto Show got canceled again this past year, like 2 years in a row. So that was unfortunate. But I like to go to a lot of car shows anytime I can. Stuff like hopefully the New York Auto Show will happen again next year, finally. I love going to racing events. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of Formula Drift. So that is a professional drifting league here in the US. So they went to a track here in New Jersey down in Wall Township. So they went there for a number of years. So every year I would go to that. Yeah, that's a huge hobby of mine. Just love cars. When I get the money, I already have my car picked out. Like I'm gonna get Corvette Z06, so the C7 version,
Yep.
not the C8, the new one, because the C7 still has a manual.
Yeah.
So you got to have a manual. You can't. I mean, how could you make a Corvette without a manual? Honestly, it's like I know people like the new Z06 looks amazing and everything. It's going to be an amazing car, but like you have to have a manual. How could you not make it, right? So for me, C7, Z06, eventually, that's the goal. So we'll just
Nice.
got to keep chipping away at it, and eventually, I'll get there.
That YouTube money, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the pennies I'm making right now.
Awesome, man. How old were you when you first kind of got into lifting, becoming really fascinated with a program,
Yes.
all that stuff?
So I started lifting when I was in high school. So that was the year before senior year. Yeah. So in between my junior and senior year was when I started lifting. My dad got me into it. And I started to follow the program that he was. I honestly don't remember what program it was. It was one that where he worked. There was a corporate gym there, and he had a personal trainer at that gym. So the program that he was on there, that's what I kind of did for a while. And I started lifting all the way through college. I was really into powerlifting at that time. I wasn't really into hypertrophy, a ton, max muscle, or stuff like that. It was more into overall strength. That's when I religiously followed Aleve to FCS and all that stuff. And actually, it was before I even started working at the YMCA where I am now. I was just a member there, and there was a guy there who back in the day used to compete in powerlifting. This was back in like the 70s or 80s. And he was training there. My dad approached him one day and asked if he would be willing to train me. And the guy said, sure. And so I was with this guy for a number of years. He's still there. He's still a major friend of mine, a mentor of mine. He told me all about Elite FTS. He got me into that world a lot. He got me actually really strong for my body weight. This guy, he was not the strongest guy in the world. He, back, I think at his prime, he had a squat of 500, something like that. He was a strong, if you looked at him right now, he wouldn't necessarily, the guy's like 75 years old now, but he's still in there in the gym, like lifting religiously. The guy had a heart attack too, like a couple of years ago. He was doing that, but he's still there in the gym lifting everything. Like the guy's an amazing person. amazing guy to talk to and learn from. So he got me really into lifting. Like I was lifting before, but just kind of doing my own thing. Then he really got me into it. So I was lifting all through college. And actually, one other thing about me is that my bachelor's degree was not in fitness or anything related to it. I have a degree, my bachelor's degree is in cybersecurity, actually. So something completely unrelated. So, and I had a job in that for 6 months out of college, and I was miserable. I left the company after that. And that's when I went back to school, and I thought about it. What I really actually want to do with my life. I realized I love lifting. Why not do something involving that? So I went back and I got my degree, my master's degree in exercise science, and I've been into that ever since. And it was one of the best choices I ever made. So ever since then, that's really how I got lifting. The main thing was just starting lifting. I started in part because I was just this scrawny little kid, like I'm still not like the most jacked guy in the world, but you should have seen me. I was like the swizzle stick, in high school, like I was, no muscle whatsoever, and no strength whatsoever, and I didn't want to be made fun of. That's why a lot of people get into it. Lou Ferrigno, he got into lifting, bodybuilding, because he was being made fun of. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that is what motivates you to lift and you become really passionate about it, that's great. And like Mike Grisito, when I interviewed him, he touched upon a lot of people start lifting because they want to get laid. There's nothing wrong with that either.
Right.
There isn't. Whatever your reason is, as long as you're doing it right, and as long as you have a passion for it, go for it. All right. The point of lifting, the point of training is you need to have a purpose, right? That's the main difference between working out and actually training. If you're just going into the gym for the sake of just lifting and you go through the motions, you're not making any progress or anything. That's more of just a workout, right? And again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. If it's something you enjoy and it gets you out of the house, fine. But if you really actually want to make progress, you need to have a purpose, right? You need to have a reason for actually doing this. And it doesn't have to be training for a competition. It doesn't mean you have to be competing in bodybuilding or in powerlifting or whatever. Your purpose could be, a 70-year-old woman who wants to have the strength and flexibility to bend down and pick her grandson up off the floor. That's a purpose, and lifting can help her with that, right? So, that's kind of an issue with, I'm getting off into another tangent here again, but that's another issue with the fitness industry as a whole, is that everybody thinks things have to be in black and white. There's a whole huge gray area in the fitness world. It's not just bodybuilding. It's not just powerlifting. There's so many things in between, right? Lifting could be just for the sake of your health. Like that's mainly what I'm training for right now. I just want to be healthy. Like I'm 32 now. I'm getting to the point now where like I don't necessarily want a max muscle size anymore or maximum strength. I honestly don't care about those things anymore. All right. And if you're somebody who does and you continue to care about that up into your 50s, your 60s, fine, great. There's nothing wrong with that. But, people's goals, they change over time. And there's nothing wrong with that either. So for me, I just want to, I still want to continue to build strength. I still want to continue to build muscle. But I also want to continue to actually be able to walk by the time I'm 50 or 60. I don't want to end up having a hip replacement by the time I get to there, or even by the time I get to my 40s. Like if you look at Dave Tate, the people don't have to go to this extreme, but for anybody who doesn't know, Dave Tate is the founder of Lead FTS. He trained at Westside Barbell for a long, long time. He's like one of the main guys behind Louis Simmons in the powerlifting world. He has had hip replacements and surgery after surgery of things like, and it's in part because of the extreme training he had in powerlifting over many, many years, right? I don't want to be that way when I get to that point, right? So, and he'll say, if you have asked Dave Tate about this, he'll say, it was worth it and everything. For me, it's not, right? I'm not saying I disagree with him or anything like that. And if you're fine with ending up like that, later on in your life, and you love competing in powerlifting, and you're okay with the fact that you can end up with some serious problems later in life, go for it. And it's your choice. You can train for whatever you want, really. It doesn't really matter to me, but you need to accept these sorts of things. But that the main thing, going back to it, is that with training, just have a purpose. All right, have an actual legitimate reason, even if it means you're trying to get laid. Fine, that's a purpose. All right, it's a purpose. It's a legitimate purpose. All right, it's just part of society today. But as long as you can accept that, admit to yourself that that's your purpose, then you're training now. You're not really working out it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree, man. You hit on some really cool things within that. Funny side note, I have a friend that trains out at Elite FTS. It's not far from where I live.
Okay. Yep.
He's seen Dave like literally duct tape his, maybe you've seen this on YouTube too, where he's literally duct taped his hip to squat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Dave is nuts in the stuff that he does. If you think about it, like, it's awesome, but it's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. Like, there's videos of him literally walking up to the squat rack with a cane, barely able to walk. Then he gets underneath the squat bar, or underneath I think he only uses like a yoke bar now. Gets underneath that, does his squat, box squat or whatever, and then limps off after that. Like, that's awesome. It's insane, but it's awesome to see, But like, unfortunately, it can give kind of an impression like that's a goal that a lot of people should have, that you're training to the point where you're getting like that, where you have to use a cane and then you continue to train while you're on a cane. Like, that shouldn't be the point for anybody. Like, God bless Dave, honestly. Like, the industry is amazing because of him. Really, like, the guy is awesome. The information he gives out is invaluable and everything. But so it's like, anybody's watching, like, please don't get to the point where you're like Dave, where you're like completely screwed up in every possible way. Like, that shouldn't be a goal for you. Like, I want you guys to actually still be walking, by the time like you're 50 or 60 years old. You don't need a hip replacement and stuff like that. So, like, again, if you really want to go, that route, go for it, but like, try to have some common sense. Like, if Dave was ever watching this, he would, probably agree that, like, yeah, it's kind of common sense not to get as fucked up as I did. So, um, but yeah, I mean, like, Dave is Dave. That's only one way to describe it. So.
Right. Awesome, man. My final question before we get into a little bit more of formal and practical application things that I've kind of ascertained from watching you. My final question is, what did you think when you were in Ohio? Like, how was living here for you?
I liked Ohio.
Yeah.
So when I was there, I lived right there in Columbus.
Yeah.
I was in the eastern section. I don't know if you know that. So it was a nice area. I liked Columbus. Columbus is like, a lot of people don't realize this, but Columbus is like an epicenter for strength and conditioning and lifting. It really is. It's because it's not only where Elite FTS basically is. They're out in Lund, Ohio, a little ways out, but they're there. Louis Simmons is there, with his West Side Barbell. Matt Wenning's gym is there. JL Holdsworth gym, the Spot Athletics, is there. Like, there's so much right there in Ohio that people can go experience and learn from, and people that they can learn from. Like, if you're in Ohio and you want to get into the fitness industry, or you're in the fitness industry and you never heard of these people or ever tried to learn from them, like, please do. Like, seriously, like, reach out to them, ask if you can stop by, ask them if you can talk with them. Like, some of them might disagree or say they don't have time for it. Like, good luck trying to get a conversation with Louis Simmons. It's not going to happen. But other people like Matt Wenning might be more open to it, or Dale Holdsworth. They might be more open to talking to you at some point.
100%.
Even Dave Tate, like, if you want to shoot him a DM on Instagram, I think he's really diligent about answering any question he has. Like, please, Like I'm almost going to beg you, reach out to these people and ask them questions, learn from them, follow them on YouTube, follow them on Instagram, like, and then try if you can to go meet them in person. Like Ohio is an amazing place because of that for the fitness industry.
Yeah.
Like when I was out there doing my internship, it was at that time that Elite FTS was doing those powerlifting experiences.
Hmm.
So I think they did two of them. So the second year they did it, I just so happened to have my internship out there, so I signed up for it and I went out. Um, and essentially what they did that day was they did a mock powerlifting meet. And I made amazing progress. You got actually coached by these amazing people. Like there's one guy in my group, Harry Salco. I don't know if you ever heard of him before. So he's written articles on Elite FTS before. He was a strength and leadership coach for many years. Guy is like on another planet, but he's an amazing guy, a really great coach. And he helped me so much that day. That was the day that I did deadlifted 405, and I was at a body weight of 142, 143 at the time. And that was a PR for me at that time. And, my goal was to, at the same body weight, eventually deadlift 500 pounds. But shortly after that, I got injured in the shoulder, and then, things kind of fell apart, and I never really worked up to that again. But, it was an amazing experience seeing the Elite FTS compound that day. So any experience you have, if you're in that area, definitely reach out to them, try to do it. Like Elite FTS for a couple of years was having seminars that they were holding, sports performance summits and stuff like that. Definitely go to stuff like that. Never be afraid to reach out to people. That's the main thing, and learn from them. Like no matter who it is. Like the worst thing is that could happen is that they're not going to get back to you. A lot of them won't. That's okay. But you gotta learn. You can't be happy with or okay with just reading some books and watching some YouTube videos and say, oh, I know everything now. You got to continue to learn. You need to talk to these people, learn from them, because they have so much to say, and they still have so much to teach you. I guarantee it. Like the amount that these guys know in lifting is like so much. It really is. Like it's going to be more than you, me, and 100 other people know combined in an entire lifetime. Seriously. So like you got to actually learn from them. So another tangent I went into about, you're asking me about Ohio, but yeah, I like the area and everything, because of the opportunities that it really opened up for me and for everyone else who's in that area.
Yeah. No, man, don't worry about the tangents because there's always something good to take away from them. Like I can't stress the importance of just trying to reach out to someone and learn for them. Like
Yeah.
that's such an important thing. And it was something that I had to get over myself up until like this year, honestly. That's a
Yeah.
really good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like going to Ohio State, the Arnold was a bus ride away. You could go down to Powerhouse downtown and lift with a lot of the pros, which was crazy when I was like a freshman, 18 years old, weighing $180. And then you're like getting pictures with the biggest guys out there. The powerlifting scene was awesome. And have you ever heard of Lexington Extreme, kind of like an offshoot of West Side?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, that's where I kind of did a lot of my interning. So Chuck Vogelpool's out there now, Jason Coker, some of the big powerlifting guys that are still not necessarily active, but still kind of well known.
Yeah, I mean they're really good guys to learn from, and if you can actually be there in person with them and learn from them, even just to watch them train, you can still learn from so much from that too. Like another thing to stress is that if you find a really good gym to train in, that makes a huge difference itself.
Big time.
Like if you're in Las Vegas, go to the Dragon's Lair gym. Seriously, like just don't find any other gym, just go there. Because like especially if you're in the bodybuilding world, that's your main goal. You're going to learn so much from the people there. Like I think that's mainly where Jared Feather works out from right now. The IFBB Pro, right? he's an amazing guy to go talk to right now. So Mike Rizzatel, I know he used to be there, but he still probably will from time to time be there. Even though he's living out in Michigan right now.
Yeah.
So and then just the fact that it's Flex Lewis's gym, so all the other people that are in there, like the environment itself is going to make a huge difference. And there's gyms like this all throughout the United States. So if you're in Miami, Hybrid Performance, Jordan Shallow and Steffi Cohen's place, go there. If you're in the Philadelphia area, go into Iron Sport. That's where you should be going to. Yeah. Like that's going to make a huge difference. And I think that's a lot of things that people don't realize sometimes, like just the environment change is going to make a huge difference in your training and the results that you're going to get. Can you get results in your basic, hole in the wall gym? Yeah, absolutely. Of course. But it still makes a huge difference when you have an environment that everybody else around you is trying to get better and trying to lift better and train better and learn from other people. And then, once you actually experience that, you can't really go back. Like that day when I was at the Elite FTF's compound for that powerlifting experience, the lifts I got that day, I wouldn't have been able to make at my gym back at home, just the way I trained that day. Like the environment made a huge difference. The people that are around me, like I didn't want to fail that day. I didn't want to let them down. So now some days, yeah, you're not going to have those people around you. So the fact is, you're going to have to motivate yourself to actually do the best you can that day. You're going to have a lot of training sessions that aren't that way. There's times where I just don't feel like training that day, and sometimes I don't. It just happens. All right. So it's much better off to take a rest day and go back at it when you actually feel like training than to just train and kind of go through the motions. You're not going to get much out of that. But there are still days where, yeah, you're going to have to muster the motivation to actually go through that training session and actually push yourself, because you're not going to have anybody else there with you. That's going to be, unless you have a workout partner and you're at a great gym, that's going to be you most of the time, motivating yourself because you're alone. It's just the way it is. That's the way I am right now, where I am. So if the fact is if you're able to make good results in that, that means that you actually know what you want out of your training, but you also know how to motivate yourself, and you can actually get good results.
Yeah. Yeah. Tons of good points in there, man. Yeah. And once again, cool that we've been around the same spots a little bit here and there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a couple of the main questions I wanted to get into, and I don't want to keep you too long, so we don't have to go too crazy in depth with them. I don't know if you have any hard time cutoffs or anything. If you do,
No, not really. However long you want to go for.
sounds good, man. Like I feel like one thing that drew me, of course, to your channel was the kind of ebook type program reviews, and I feel like that's really common for intermediate, people that are kind of passionate about wanting to improve some aspect of their performance in the gym, or just the act of following a program and spending money on that shows that you're a little bit more engaged than probably the average person that goes to the gym. And there's tons and tons, especially within the past, I'd say 3 years, there's so many out there. So what are maybe 3 or so of the top things that you would advise people to look for in one of these type of programs?
So the first one is find out what you want to train for, right? So it's what your main goal is, right? So if you get a hypertrophy program specifically, and that's not your main goal, it's not going to help you. It'll help you in getting hypertrophy, sure. But if that's not your main goal, then you just kind of wasted your money in that specific. So that's definitely number one. The second is, at the end of the day, not every program you're going to buy is going to work for you, right? So yes, these cost money, but you might have to buy a couple of them and experiment and see which ones actually do work for you. Like, no matter how well programmed Jeff Nippard's ones are, they may not be the right ones for some people. So a different company like Renaissance Periodization, their approach to programming might be better for somebody else. So, thankfully there's some stuff out there that you can get for free. Like, Jeff put out a free push-pull legs routine. You can try that out. It's similar to what he has for the paid program. So you can get a feel for that and see if it works for you. The same with Renaissance Periodization. Like, their YouTube channel is gold mine for the stuff you can learn from, and get a program together and see if their approach and stuff works best for you. Barbell medicine is another different approach that you're going to learn a lot of stuff from. It's going to take some experimentation on your part, because you need to realize that what works for you won't necessarily work for somebody else. And then the third one is just going to be patience, because a lot of people think they run through the program once and then they're going to get results from it. And that's not going to really be the case for the most part. You will, if it's a really good program, one that's laid out logically, you will see some results from it. All right. Like, if it's a 12-week long program, after that period, if it's a good program, you'll see some changes. You'll see some progress in that, of course. But at the end of the day, almost every program needs to be run at least twice before you see some actual significant progress from it. A lot of people say, "Oh, I didn't see any results after just running it." Well, it's just, you really expect to get results out of it after just 8 weeks of following this program for the first time? No, of course you're not going to. All right, and even if you did see some results, one thing you got to understand is that this is more of an actual marathon type of thing. Trying to put on muscle, especially the more advanced you get, the level lifter you are, the harder it's going to be to make progress. Beginners explode in their progress because the body's never gone through this before. It makes rapid adaptations and improvements because, again, you've never done this before, and your body's going, "Holy shit, what the hell is this?" And then it gets used to it, and then makes the progress it needs to. So next time you go through it, you're more used to it and you're able to handle it better. If you're an actual true advanced lifter, then at that point your body goes kind of, yeah, we've been through this before. All right, I'll give you some progress with this, but you're gonna give me more than that. So at that point, trying to put on strength, trying to put on muscle is gonna take far longer than if you were a beginner. Like, if you're an advanced lifter, you're going to be looking at maybe 2 pounds of muscle a month or two, something like that. Maybe a little bit more than that. It depends on the person. If they're on performance enhancers, they'll probably progress a little bit faster. But if they're natural, it's going to take a long, long time. Okay. So people, I think, need to understand this. So they need to give their body a chance. They need to give the program a chance and actually follow it. Now, if you followed the program 3 or 4 times and you still don't see great progress from it, then chances are that's not a great program. So at that point, you can try another one. And this kind of ties into, like, if I gave like a 3-point B here, point is that people need to stop program hopping. All right. So the fact is, you need to try a program, stick with it for a long time, for months, and see if it actually does work for you or not. If it is giving you results, if it's not after a long period of time, then then you can go on to something else. You should try one program for 8 weeks, then go to a different one for 8 weeks, and then to another one for 8 weeks. Right? The only exception to this is if that program is designed intentionally as just a phase to then progress into a different phase of that program. Like Jeff Nippert's power building programs, the first one, the second one that I just reviewed, and then the third one he's going to come out, they're intentionally designed that way so you can progress from one program to the next one. But that's because they're designed intentionally as phases, right? So they're not drastically different from one another. They build onto each other. So unless it's that way, then that's fine. But if they're two separately different programs that are not really related to one another, then you shouldn't be hopping from this one to then this one, because that's not really going to help you. So those, I think, are the 3 most important things.
Yeah, very good. What was that?
No, nothing.
Okay. Man, I wish you could have been there to talk to 20-year-old me, because the first point was exactly what happened. I was still pretty into powerlifting at the time. I've kind of since switched my goals up to more hypertrophy focused goals, but I was sitting bored out of my mind in a physiology class, And I'd been watching Jeff Nifford for maybe like 6 months at the time. And I was like, all right, I'm going to pull the trigger on this push-pull legs program. I was like, I'm going to get strong on this.
Mhm.
And at the end, a friend and I ran it, and we ran it for a good, I think it was like 16 weeks because there was 2 waves. I was like,
Mhm.
dang, we didn't get that much stronger. He's like, yeah. He's like, but I think we made progress. I was like,
Mhm.
we did in some way, shape, or form. And now I'm like, yeah, that was a hypertrophy program.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Like you got to give it more time. You really do.
Yeah.
Like, and if after that time you don't think it really worked for you, and you will know whether it worked for you or not, then move on to something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, again, you shouldn't be intentionally moving on to something else after just 12 weeks or whatever it is, just
Yeah.
because you want to try something else. Like there's a program that a long time ago that I was following. It was when I got off of T Nation. I think it was one that Christian Thibodeau designed. It was a 3 month long program that he put up on there for free, and I decided to give it a try. And I got amazing progress. And I ran it multiple times. But every time I ran it, by the time I got to that last week in the 3rd month, I hurt my shoulder without fail each time. But I still ran it multiple times because I still made great progress on it. And I knew by the end, it's like, okay, I'm going to get to the point, my shoulder's going to go, whatever, who cares? I made great progress. And by that last week, sure enough, yeah, oh shit, there goes my shoulder, right? So it happened, right? But I still made progress on it. So I haven't run it now in quite a while because my goals have changed, and I kind of take more conscious thoughts about my overall health and the way my shoulder feels and everything now. So I still have some issues with my left shoulder, this one here. So I have to have a specific warm up done before I lift. Otherwise, I'm going to have pain here. So, like I said, everybody's different. Some people have healthy shoulders, some don't. It's just the way things go. But, that's another reason why it's so important to understand whether a program works for you or not. If it's giving you pain somewhere consistently, don't do that program. Right? It's not going to go away. It's not going to get better. Right? It's going to always be there. Try something else. That's all you really can do.
Yeah. I guess that was good stuff, man. Once again, yeah, that was a really great response to it. My next question, as a quick aside, I will say, if you're one of these people out here, kind of like me, maybe I'm tossing around the idea of creating like a product, not necessarily like an ebook, but a program to sell that's not one-on-one individualized. I think going through your YouTube channel, Joe, and
Mhm.
picking apart like some of your criticisms is a great way to kind of like formulate it's not going to be perfect, but a great program to sell to the masses. I have like a list compiled of critiques you've made on some of these programs. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make sure I get these things right when I write my own. So if you're tossing around that idea, you got to give Joe's YouTube channel a look at.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And that's part of the main reason why I review them, because I want to make sure people get the right program for them. But the main goal also should be the fact that people need to design their own eventually. They shouldn't rely on another program that somebody designed. Like, and I'm not knocking, like, if you want to design your own program and sell it to people, go for it. Like, by all means, do that, because that's definitely going to help people. I'm talking like years down the road, if
Yeah.
people need to eventually like find out what's right for them, and then eventually design something that's going to work for them. Because at the end of the day, any program that you find on the internet is still just pre-designed, no matter how you see it. It could be the most amazing program you've ever seen, but it's still not necessarily going to be specific to some people or help some people, because of how different everybody is. Like it's just how physiology works. It's just the way that is. So like, I didn't mean to try like and knock you or anything like that.
No.
It's like, please design your program, absolutely do. And like, I'm glad that I've been able to help you with that. and you like the feedback I have for a lot of other ones, like for to help you to put together your program, I think that's absolutely awesome. And like if you ever need specific help with it, I definitely would do that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's always going to be like a spot for these type of programs.
Hmm.
Whereas I completely agree with you. And it's funny that you brought that up because I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't utilize these programs as much anymore. I might use them as kind of like inspiration, or, reference them if I need some ideas, or,
Yep.
but one book that's on my Christmas list is, the title is eluding me, but it's by Brad Schoenfield. Mike Israel was recently kind of giving it a shout out, where he's talking about like individualizing your
Hmm.
exercise and program for, making your best results. So
Hmm.
I think, thinking back on it, these programs are extremely useful for, maybe like a younger lifter, right? Like when I was 20,
Yeah.
21, I was super interested in, you know, figuring out the best type of program for my goals. But I would have probably designed a trash program if I tried to go at it all by myself at that time, because I didn't know shit about shit. So good to have
Right.
as a base.
Yeah, yeah, and like these, they still could be helpful for advanced lifters as well.
Mhm.
Like even if you're super advanced, you can still learn a ton of them. So like
Yeah.
a lot of this reviews I've done, I've still learned some stuff from these programs that I've now applied to a little bit to my own personally. So they, like you said, they always are going to have a place. They absolutely will, and no matter what level, they can still absolutely help you, and you can still absolutely learn from them.
Yeah.
So like everybody should look at them if they have a chance. Not like go out and buy every single program that's out there, but like if you are interested in a specific program to try it out, to see how it goes, even if you're an advanced lifter, by all means go for it. And you might or probably will benefit from it in some way. Even if you don't make a ton of progress, you're bound to find something in that program that you found really works well for you, and then you can apply it to your own.
Hmm.
So and that's kind of what happened to me. There's some stuff in the Jeff Nippard's programs that I now apply to mine. Some of the stuff in the Renaissance periodization stuff that I now apply to my own.
Yeah.
So like I I it's kind of funny. Like I own all of these programs that I review. I have all of them on my computer. I don't follow any of them because I have my own personal program that I know that works for me, that I've taken a lot of years to fine tune and know what works best for me. So, but I still take some pieces of it here or there and now apply it to my own. And it's made a huge difference. It absolutely have. So like you're right, they are going to have a place at some point for everybody. So like I think that if you're going to sell a program, anybody who's thinking of selling a program, do it, because you're going to help people no matter what.
Hmm. Going through all of the different programs that you've reviewed, do you have one that kind of sticks out as like your favorite, or one that you really admire or respect?
Honestly, not really.
Hmm.
Um, it depends who designed it, and it depends on how they designed it.
Hmm.
Like again, it all ties into the individual person and what their goals are, right?
Yeah.
So, like power building has now become really popular. The hybrid of it, which is nothing wrong. I think that's a good goal for a lot of people, because a lot of people do want a mix of strength and hypertrophy, and
Mm.
that's fine. I think one thing that people don't understand is that if you do a mix between the two, you're not going to get optimal in either one, right? So you're not going to get absolute strength or absolute muscle growth, right? So you're going to sacrifice both. But as long as you're okay with that, then you can still make great progress with the power building type of program. Um, so I think seeing those type of programs have been really interesting. Like Chad Wesley Smith, his powerlifting app that he has, that was actually really interesting to see. And the tracking that it has, that automatic tracking, is kind of ingenious the way that it does it for you. So like if you're into powerlifting and you want something that's going to help you keep track without actually paying for an actual coach, that's a great alternative to use. So that app was actually really cool to see. But, there's no specific program that I reviewed that I would necessarily say that is my favorite per se. I get this asked a lot, which one is your favorite? Which one do you think would work best for me? And those are always honestly like the hardest questions to answer. Just because I don't know who you are. I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what works best for you. I don't know what limitations you have. I don't know your background. I don't know anything. So it's really hard to pick which program is best for you. I can make some basic understanding. Like if you're an absolute beginner who's never lifted before, then that's kind of easy. If you don't have any limitations or anything then in that case, Jeff Nippard's hypertrophy guide is probably a good choice for you. There's nothing wrong with starting hypertrophy. You're going to make a great progress in both building muscle and strength. And then you can kind of branch out after that if you wanted to. But if you're an advanced lifter or intermediate lifter, or you've been just lifting for a while now, and you want to know which program to try, it's much harder for me to answer that question now, just because, I just don't know what kind of works for you. I can make some basic recommendations, and then it kind of goes back to experimenting, like I mentioned before, to see which program you think actually works best for you. But there's no specific one. There's a long way for me to say there's no specific one that to know which one's my favorite.
Right. I think that's actually a really mature answer, which is a weird way to say it, but like,
Yeah.
I think I would say one thing that that really stuck out to me in that response is, everyone has their individual different goals and needs. I think that's one thing that I particularly learned through working with people in person for the couple of years that I've done it. And I'm sure, it sounds like you've been at it for quite some time now too.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, like the fact is, like, whenever I do my reviews, whenever I recommend a program, it has nothing to do with the person who designed it. I couldn't care less who designed that specific program. Right. So like if it's a Jeff Nippard program that I recommend to you, it's not because Jeff Nippard designed that program. Right. It's not, Jeff is a very smart guy. He really is. Or if I recommend a Renaissance periodization program, it's not because Mike was involved with it. Well, in that case, it is a little bit because like Mike is like the man. Right. But, but still, like I'm recommending that program to you because I know that it was designed well, and chances are will help you. And even if it doesn't, you can still learn a ton from it and then use that to then find out what will work for you. Right. So, it really does come down to the individual.
Yeah.
That's mainly what fitness is all about. Right. We're all different. We're all going to respond to different things. Right. And it's just up to us to find out what that is. You can't ask somebody else what that is. You got to find that out for yourself.
Yeah, man, I feel like we covered some great kind of advice as it pertains to this one little niche of fitness products and programs. But I'm also interested to kind of ask you some questions about how you've built up your YouTube channel and the specifics of that. So I guess starting from the very beginning, how long did it take for you to see the kind of like growth that you've experienced within, like, well, from what I've seen, let's put it that way?
Yes. So it's taken about a year and a half now of consistent uploading to get to where I am. Excuse me. So when I first started out this YouTube, well, actually, I really first started this channel about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. So it was in September of 2019. I posted, so if you go back to my first few videos, they're still there. The first 4 videos are vastly different. I went over actual advice and I would cite the research and also it was similar to what Jeff Nippard does with a lot of his videos. And they're still legitimate videos. They still are. So if you want to learn from them, but those first 4 I posted, thought, oh, I'm not seeing any progress at all. Forget this. And I gave up after that. So that was around October or so when I gave up. And then I got the bug to try it again around March, the following March of 2020. It was right when we went into all those lockdowns. So because I got laid off my job, I figured, all right, I'm going to actually do this. I have nothing else better to do at this point. So I started again, and then and those videos again. I wasn't really doing reviews at that point. I might have done one or two. I honestly don't remember. But I had a mix of stuff where I was going over some fitness news and some basic advice and a mix of things and stuff like that. And that didn't really get a whole lot of traction. And even if I did videos like those again now, it still probably wouldn't get much traction. But what started to actually get me traction was there was one video, the first video I did of an Athlete Next program. I forget which one it was. I think it was the 02 program or something like that. I did a review for that, and then it got okay reviews initially, and then out of nowhere it got picked up by the algorithm a little bit, and my views started to go up all of a sudden. And then I guess YouTube started to recommend my channel a lot more. So that one video all of a sudden helped my channel to actually get some actual traction. And then that's what has helped me to actually start growing a bit more. So now that I saw that video started to do well and get some traction, that's when I started to be a lot more consistent in my reviews and think, okay, people want to see this stuff. It's a good niche. It's what somebody, and other channels aren't really doing or not doing consistently. So it'll help me separate myself a little bit more. So that's what I've mainly been doing a lot more. I sprinkle in a few basic advice videos here or there, primarily because I still want to do that, or it was the fact that I just didn't feel like doing another review for that week, and I just couldn't think of anything else. So I just made a basic advice video. That's how YouTube goes. Sometimes, you got to put up a video, so you think of something else for that week, something that's still you're passionate about, something that you still think will help people. It's not for the sake of getting views. Never should be. All right. So, but it was doing those reviews that helped my channel mainly to grow where it is now. That's what's mainly getting the views on my channel. But having said that, now I think I'm starting to see that it is kind of starting to run its course a little bit. So, like I said, I mentioned at the beginning of this, I will still continue with reviews. Those aren't going anywhere, but I still now want to kind of branch out to some other areas, because I think there's other stuff now that I can do that will help me to get a little bit more traction. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, the main thing that got the traction to where I am now is doing those reviews and just being myself, but also being unbiased and honest in my reviews. Never saying something that a review is amazing because Jeff Nipper designed it, or saying that this program is crap because ThenX designed it. Like that. I mean, looking back, that ThenX program is absolute shit. But it's not because ThenX designed it, right? It's not because, well, it in part is because he designed it, but the guy doesn't know what he's talking about, right? That's just the fact. But I didn't make that review for the sake of views, to make controversy or anything like that. Like it's a shit program. So that's what I talked about. That's what I made the review on. So you need to be genuine in your videos, because if you're not, your audience is gonna see through that, and then whatever traction you might get, you're eventually are gonna lose. But if you're genuine and you continue that consistently through a long time, your audience, chances are, will stick around, and you'll build an actual following that that you're actually helping. And that's far better than just growing for the sake of views.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the points that you made, lost that train of thought, but I'm going to pick it back up. And I'm going to pivot to, if you're looking to grow a YouTube channel, I've kind of experienced this as well. Reviews can go a long way. And I just remembered, I'll follow that up with what I just remembered. So I have, and like you said, like the one review kind of popped off for you, and it helped you, pick up some of the algorithm. I have a lot of like the kind of like garage line Elite FTS equipment in my spot out there. And
Mhm.
I think I'm some of the only reviews of that equipment on YouTube. So I get a lot of
Mhm.
questions and views because it's kind of like you're niching down almost. And you don't want to,
Yeah.
I feel like it's good to do that, but you don't want to completely limit yourself. But it's
Yeah.
reviews can be a cool little way to grow your channel. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, you're right. They can help because that's what a lot of people are interested in now. Now, that may not be the case like 3 or 4 years down the road. People may not care about reviews anymore after that. I don't think that'll necessarily be the case, but I'm just saying in general, YouTube changes all the time. So,
Mhm.
like, if you don't adapt on your channel is going to die. Like that's just a fact. So like if you look at any channel now, I don't care who it is, you'll see that they've made changes over the years. Like Mr. Beast, the videos he makes now are not even close to the videos that he made at the beginning of his channel. Dude Perfect, the videos they make now are not quite like the way they were back in the beginning, right?
Rogan.
So people need to adapt because if you do the same thing over and over and over again, people are going to get tired of it. And again, that's another reason why I want to branch away from the reviews because to me personally, they're starting to feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. Even if it's a review that a program's not that great, all right, then it still feels very similar to something I already did. And then, I feel like the audience is probably going to think, oh, I've kind of seen this already, or they probably already now know what I'm probably going to say about a particular program before I even make a review,
Hmm.
right? So at that point, people are less likely to actually watch it or stick around through the review to actually learn from the whole thing, right? So like I had somebody um, comment on one of my videos I made requesting a review. And I literally, one of the first things I said in that video was that I'm going to review that program. It was Jeff Nifford's his Power Building 2 program. The video itself was like, I think it was the best diet video that I made not that long ago. So I mentioned in at the very beginning that it was right before Jeff came out with his Power Building 2 program. And I said, I'm going to review this later this week, I promise. And I had somebody down there in the comments say, can you review Jeff Nippard's program, Power Building 2, when it comes out? It was like, all I could think was like, did you watch the first minute of my video? It's like, I didn't actually comment that, but that's what I thought. And somebody else actually replied to the guy saying he literally said this in the video. And the guy replied back to that saying, "Oh, yeah," he said, "I don't watch these videos. I only watch his reviews." It's like, okay, like, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit, I guess, because it made me realize like some people really only subscribe to my channel for the reviews. So if I branch out to other stuff, then I'm going to probably lose some of my audience. It's probably what's going to happen because people are going to see I'm doing fewer reviews. They're going to lose interest and then go away. I accept that. It's going to happen because the fact is I cannot continue these reviews forever. My channel is not going to grow. It's going to stop completely. I'm going to run out of money to do this, and then I'm just going to run out of motivation, honestly, to do it. If it just continued being reviews.
Mhm.
So I'm going to lose some of my audience, but if I branch out to some other stuff, like I've gained enough following, I've gained, I think, enough traction that if I started branching out to other stuff, it'll still continue with some traction with it. And then I can kind of continue to build a following through that stuff that I can then do long term. So that's the plan. So we'll see how it goes, but that's the plan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny. Before I ask my last question, which you briefly hit on there, uh, I was one of my we talked about your car hobby. One of my hobbies outside of the gym is gaming, and sometimes I'll watch streamers from time to time. There's this streamer. His name is Nick Merckx for anyone else that's into gaming and watching streams out there. And he doesn't really play like the most popular games anymore. He kind of just like plays what he wants to play. And he had that same discussion where it's like, you built your base off of playing Call of Duty and you're not playing that anymore. Like, don't you think your channel and your views are going to tank? He was like, I don't care. Like, if
Yeah.
keep doing that, like I'm going to stop enjoying this job and it's not going to be fun anymore and the quality's going to drop.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, it's a very legitimate concern, but I think your mindset's right going into it, man. And like you said,
Yep.
it can be frustrating to see those comments like, oh, I only watch these for the reviews. Like that would piss me off. No lie.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's going to work
it
out.
is what it is. It's
Yeah.
fine. If people, if that's what they want to watch from my channel, fine. And as long as I'm still helping them, then that's fine.
Yeah.
People know what they like. They know what they're interested in. So if that's what they want to watch from my channel, what they gain from my channel, then cool. As
Mhm.
long as they stay around, because if they're not staying around, then that's not going to help them, and then my channel becomes essentially pointless. So that's the main thing. Maintaining your audience in a long term, like from the very beginning all the way through on YouTube, is really difficult. There's only a select few that I think of that probably have been able to do, like Markiplier is probably one that has been able to do that. Like, I don't know if you ever seen his channel before. So he's a really popular channel. He's mainly known for gaming, but it's a twist. So he mainly only does horror games,
Mm.
stuff like that. So, and he does a few other stuff, some other games here or there and stuff like that. But he's maintained his following and growing so much. Like, I don't watch his stuff religiously, but I still watch from time to time. But it's because of his personality. Like, it's hilarious to watch him playing the horror games. The reaction he has, the way that he talks, and just the fact he's so out there with, like, go watch some of his videos. Like, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Like, so you can learn so much from his channel. The fact that he's been able to get such a following. Linus Tech Tips, if you're ever into the tech world, that's another channel that I think has almost like 12 million subscribers, something like that. But he does mainly like tech tips or building computers and stuff like that. You would think that would get stale after a while, but if you watch his channel, it doesn't, because the way he presents it, like his personality, again, another guy who's hilarious in the way he presents on his channel. Like, I didn't think I would watch for half an hour him talking about a computer chip. Like, I'm not into computers that much, but I still ended up watching it because he was hilarious talking about it.
Yeah.
So you can learn so much from channels like that. Like, I'm not like that on my channel that much. Like, if you watch my channel, honestly, and I'll even admit it, my reviews can be kind of dry. They kind of can be after like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, I don't blame you if you want to cut off from it, because by that point you probably get the gist of it, honestly. And like, I can get a little, I can go on rambles. Like, if you ever saw behind the scenes of when I film my videos, like, I'll have a 20-minute video when in reality I filmed for like 40 minutes. And I have to cut back that much because I get on to such a tangent, such a ramble about things. That's just my personality, right? And I talked to Jeff Nippert about this when I talked to him on the phone. He recommended I start doing scripted videos
Mhm.
because it'll help cut back things. And I can understand him saying that, and in a part way I agree with it. But one thing I told him was like, well, if I do that, then I'm going to start sounding kind of robotic. But then he said, well, if you keep doing it over and over again, you'll sound more like you. Yeah, but for me personally, I think what works best is kind of going off the cuff. I just need to practice that a little bit better,
Mhm.
and so that way I'm not repeating a lot of the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
Not be afraid to have some of my personality shine out in some of my reviews a bit. So YouTube is it's a learning a process. It really is. It's going to take time. Like I said, if you saw some of my first videos compared it to some of my videos now, it's a huge difference. And then if 2 years from now, if you look at some of my videos now and then look at the ones from 2 years from now, you're probably going to see the same thing. Huge difference, right? So, I think that's just anybody who's looking to do a channel. That's the main thing. Just keep going with it. Understand that your first few videos are going to be shit. All right, they are. Okay, so just understand that and accept it now. All right, but just keep going because it will get better. You will get better in filming and your personality and the way you present. All right, and then your audience will find you, and things will get better. You just need to not give up on it. You just need to consistently keep going with it. Like, It's kind of funny. I had somebody I know came up to me at the gym um, not that long ago, a member there, and I don't know how, but he found my channel and he saw some of my videos. And it was kind of funny because, like I mentioned before, if you talk to me in person, I'm pretty introverted. So he told me straight up, I'm the only person he knows that is not introverted, and I'm more outgoing in front of a camera than I am in person.
Hmm.
So, and I thought that was kind of an interesting actually perspective. I never thought of it that way, but I guess it kind of makes sense. A lot of people are afraid to be on camera because they think it's so awkward. They can't talk to a camera, and they need a person there. For me, it's super easy, honestly, to talk in front of a camera. And, when I first started, yeah, it was kind of awkward, but as I did it more and more, it's really easy. Because in part because I'm an introvert, I don't need somebody to be there. I picture kind of in my mind that I'm talking to you, I'm talking to an audience. All right. You need to picture that in your mind as you're filming. All right. But to me, it's not that hard to honestly talk to a camera all that much. It's not really all that awkward and all. And it never really was super awkward. It was hard, yeah, to do it. I messed up a lot. I still mess up a lot. Um, but it's just a matter of repeating it over and over again until you get used to it. Like, you have a lot of people that'll tell you they don't want to start a YouTube channel because they don't want to be in front of a camera, or they think they're not going to be good in front of a camera, or they don't think that they will become good in front of a camera. None of those things are true. None of those things are true. Every single person on the planet can be in front of a camera. It's just a matter of just doing it, getting it over with. Like I said, your first few videos are going to be terrible, right? But as long as you keep going and you accept that, then you'll get better at it. So if you are looking to start a YouTube channel, don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to stick a camera in front of your face, say some random stuff in front of it, and then see where it goes. Because chances are it will go somewhere. As long as you just stick with it.
That was really good, man. And my next question was going to be kind of like troubleshooting and figuring out the process as you grow. But I think you covered that like really well without me even having to ask. Like I picked up a couple of things that, that I definitely can implement with my own process. So you nailed it.
That's the side effect of my rambling. I kind of
No.
going off into tangents that I do. I kind of cover like 1,000 different things at once.
Right.
But if it helps you, that's good.
Right. Shoot, man. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your Friday night. For those listening, it's we're dedicated out here. It's 9 o'clock on a Friday night, so I appreciate you, Joe, for making time for it on a Friday night, man. But I definitely want to give you an opportunity to kind of plug some of the things you have going on. I know you have some cool projects that you've worked on and that are in the works. Definitely plug in the YouTube channel and anything else that you want to let the people know about.
Yeah, so again, YouTube channel is Lifting Explained. So that is my main fitness channel. So if you want to go follow me there, you can. Same with Instagram. My Instagram is Lifting Explained. I rarely post on there. I should, but I rarely do. So go follow me. I'm gonna get better at that. Kind of want to implement more of the reels because I know that's helping a lot of people grow right now. I technically do have a TikTok. Again, same thing, Lifting Explained. I posted 3 videos, haven't since then, but um, so you can follow me there if you want. And then, yeah, that's mainly what I'm concentrating on. I do have a plan actually. So like another hobby, I mentioned the cars, but another hobby of mine is men's style. So I love that sort of stuff too. So my previous old channel before this, I actually want to start that again. So that one is called Lifting with Style. I don't know if that would actually come up with it or anything, but yeah. So it still exists. It's still there. So I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks to actually start uploading some stuff on there too. That'll probably mainly just concentrate on the men's style side of it, but so that's another thing I kind of have in the works. But yeah, the main thing is my YouTube channel, Lifting Explained on here. If you want to go follow that. really appreciate it. Instagram if you want to, and that's the main stuff.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing with you. I love that, lifting with style. That's nice.
Yeah, yeah. So I was originally named that because I was going to implement both the style and the fitness part of it onto it. Um, so yeah, I mean, it just kind of popped into my head the other day, like it still, because I actually um got a subscriber. I'm at 35 subscribers on that channel. So practically nothing, but I got a notification the other day that somebody subscribed to it. Like, I don't understand how or why, because I haven't posted anything on there for like 2 years, 2.5 years. So, how people even find it or why they subscribe to it, I don't know. But it kind of just popped into my head, and it's like, oh, maybe I should give this a shot again. So yeah, I say a lot of things that I'm going to do, but never actually do. So don't hold me to this, or take this kind of like a grain of salt if I'm going to actually start the channel again.
Right.
But this is kind of the plan that I'm going to do starting pretty soon.
Very cool. Well, man, I really do appreciate it. Once again, you coming on here, giving some great advice and just telling everybody a little bit about what you do, because ever since I saw it, I was like, man, I'd love to connect with you, Joe. And
Yeah.
yeah, guys, I really do think Joe is a great follow or subscribe on YouTube. So please do check him out. I really appreciate everybody for sticking with us to the podcast. Great practical advice, as well as some cool, program design and ebook talk. So thank you all so much for listening, and we'll catch you in episode 45.